Hello to everybody. I'm Simone Conti, GP of Dialectic. To give some color on Dialectic, so Dialectic is a crypto bespoke multi-family office. So in simple words, we started to invest our funds as a family office, and right now we are onboarding other partners, such as entrepreneurs and artists we invested in, and the main focus remain crypto. We have several funds in crypto, each one with its own strategy, like a VC fund, a fund investing in liquid things, some fund is like a stable farming fund, and a DAO, also an MEV fund. But today, we are sharing with you most of the lessons learned that we have been going through during the last 2-3 years, I would say, in play to earn. And so the thing about play to earn is that all of us at the end is a gamer. So this is a table that I see a lot of times in pitches where you can see the average time spent based on the age, playing game. And there are two things actually that are interesting. One is that when you are an old people, you spend pretty much the same time of a young people, of an 18 years old, playing game. And the second one is that more than 50% of the worldwide population spend at least 1 hour playing game every day in average. But the thing that I was explaining to my mom is that we started pretty early, so when we are actually child. And but the point is that there are not too many stats on what time you dedicate when you are a child, playing games. And I found these stats very interesting because you basically, let's say, spend a negligible amount of time when you are toddlers, then you spend 15 minutes when you are between 2 and 4 years old, 40 minutes when you are 5 and 8 years old. But I believe that these stats are a bit outdated because I see every day children of 1 year old with a smartphone or with a tablet that already know how to skip ads on YouTube. My nephew installed an ad blocker extension when he was 2 months years old. So it's a kind of, the things are changing. But if we consider this as valid, it means that we spent actually 6,900 hours gaming in the first 18 years old. Me as a gamer, I'll probably be around at 10,000 hours. And if we read this book, that is the Malcolm Gladwell book, everyone that spent 10,000 hours doing one thing can master that particular thing, can play a violin or can be a developer such as Bill Gates or whatever. And so most of the skills that we learned as a gamer, we use these skills as a user, but we can use these skills also as investor. These are, in my opinion, the secret sauce that everyone of has. And the problem is that if you use this as a user, until now, all the revenues were kept by the gaming developers themselves, because until 2020, that they made $160 billion. A few little percentage of these were distributed out to the players, to the gamers. For example, one thing that was very popular is that people were playing in a particular game, let's say Clash of Clans, and they were selling their accounts on eBay to another people. But this doesn't mean that is a redistributing of the revenue from the game. One thing that we see, for example, every day is that even the top player like Ninja in Fortnite, so they made most of the revenues from the sponsorship from YouTube, but not like Fortnite that is paying them for their activity. And so this is definitely, obviously, the things that we are changing with the play to earn, and we at Dialectic, we started to completely understood that we were in front of a revolution when we analyzed this chart. So in this chart, basically, is a chart of Axie Infinity revenues, and it's basically the revenues that each user, each player of Axie Infinity made during 2021, and these two lines, these are the minimum salary in the Philippines, and the other one is the average salary. And you can see that in April and May, there were scholars, according to obviously different levels in the game, that were earning more than $100 per day. So basically, in that period, a scholar of Axie Infinity that was dedicating 1 hour and 45 minutes playing game was earning more than an investment banker in Philippines. And obviously, this is 2021. Right now, the scenario is very different, but we understood here that there was a revolution in front of ourselves. And we started to dive into play to earn. Obviously, there is the free-to-play model that works very well, because compared to the traditional model where the success of a game was defined by the number of units sold, and that's it. With the free-to-play, you have 3 variables, because you have to, let's say, onboard new users, retain the users, and doing the upselling. So sell as much as you can to these users. And you can identify, in the user base of a free-to-play game, different categories. You have the whales, that is usually 10%, the ones that spend a lot of money in the game. You have the dolphins in the middle range, that is usually 40% of the user base. And then you have the other half of the game that is not spending nothing in the game. And some statistics and research reports calculated that 50% of the revenues of a game is generated by 0.15% of the players, called the white whales. So with the play to earn, you have all these mechanisms, but you have also these 3 things that are very important. So one is that the users needs to understand that the game is a kind of long-term game, so it's sustainable as a game, and is going to continue to deliver new updates, new progress, new features, and new games activity. The second one is the most important, is the economic sustainability. So I read so many reports say, okay, Axie Infinity is done because it is not anymore sustainable for the SLP sync. But the thing is that they can still work on it, and this is one point that we have been working so hard with our projects we invested in, because it's the most important point, the economic sustainability for a play-to-earn game. That is definitely connected to the other one, that is the minting power and the marketplace volume. So because it's sustainable if you have a kind of minting power, but at the same time you have to control this minting power and generate fees that you can redistribute to the players in an organic way, not spreading out tokens to incentivize users, the usage in the beginning, and then obviously there is a sink of the supply and price drop, and there is no more revenues for the gamers, and so then it's a kind of mercenary effect that you create. So it's very, very important points. These 3 aspects, actually, we can summarize this aspect into this slide that is coming from the State of Crypto 2022 Anderson Horowitz last report. And because the economic sustainability and the long-term, the economic sustainability and long-term sustainability of the game is mostly, of a play-to-earn game, is mostly based on this aspect that should be balanced very well. So there are the virtual lands, there are the in-game currencies, there are NFT, token, the centralized exchange, so everything should be balanced very, very well. And lessons learned from Dialectic, what are? So we basically, if we want to clusterize the project we spoke with during the last 2 years, I think that we can start from the most important point, that is the theme, or the founders. And so you have, let's say, 3 kind of founders. You have a crypto-native founder or team, you have a gaming background team, and then you have a mix of these 2 things. So usually what we saw is that when you speak with a gaming background team, the first thing that they they spoke with or they are like selling or raising is for equity. While it's the opposite, like for a crypto-native theme that is usually like start from the token and then digital assets, or the opposite. And after speaking with, I would say, like more than 150 gaming projects during the last 2 years, we understood that the right way to proceed is the following. Like, you have to have as a team a mix of skills, because all the elements that should be balanced that we saw before are very complex things, and a gaming background team don't have this kind of skills. So you have to have this kind of blend team, and the path that, in our opinion, is the more like appropriate one is to start from digital assets like items and lands, give value to these assets, make these scarce, make these like valuable, and only once they are valuable and the game is sustainable without a token, so you can use, for example, DAI, USDC, or you can use like whatever you want in the beginning, but only when it's sustainable with the digital assets, then you need to launch your token, and then the token is gonna be like the main currency in the game. But until it's not sustainable, I will remain focused on items and lands, and that's it. And what we are going to do today in this presentation is that, because we met like team that were crypto native, team that were coming from gaming background, and team in the middle, I want to go through like 3 stories of projects that we followed during the last years, and describe you, like, for example, what was the path that we follow with them. So the first one is Axie Infinity. This is our first investment in Play to Earn. And what they did actually is exactly this path. So a kind of team that was not too much crypto in the beginning, but they acquired the crypto experience. And they started from digital items, like, for example, selling the Axis in April 2018. By the way, this presentation, in my opinion, was like the beginning of the Play to Earn wave, and this was 2018 in Tokyo. And they were explaining like the roadmap of Axie Infinity there. But yeah, the path in this way was like digital items, lands, and tokens. So, and the path demonstrated to be successful. Obviously, they need to improve the economic sustainability of the game long term. It's not done yet. We can work on it, and I'm pretty sure that they will do. But they demonstrated to like the entire world that path was definitely like a revolutionary path. And what we did with them, we didn't support them only buying Axis, lands, and whatever. But one thing that an investor should do, and this is the most important, is to be close to the team where things go bad. And so when there was this hack of 600 million like a few months ago, most of the investors, and they are like a plethora of investors, most of the investors like ran away. And they were there with other investors like Binance, Animoca, and Paradigm, and Anderson Horowitz, like to help them in that moment. So, and they raised like 150 million, and they will use these funds to reimburse the customers that suffered this attack. Another one is Forgotten Runes. So this is completely another story, because it's a crypto native team, and this crypto native team starts with a collectibles and a collectibles PFP projects. So they started like in June of 2021. They launched their collection, 10,000 Sweeters. They sold these like in 30 minutes. And as a fund, as a family office, we were aping into that, interacting through the smart contracts. We both like a lot of them. And after that meeting, we like, I remember the same day I set up like a Discord group with the founders, and we started to chat with them. And we immediately understood that they were very talented developers. And they were crypto native, for sure, but they were very talented, and the vision was a long-term, solid vision there. And you can see that in 2021, these two guys made a lot of steps. Like, for example, on October, like a few months after the launch, they was actually in the first wave of NFT launched in the Coinbase marketplace. And then there was like the grid burning, there was like the ponies launch. But let's go through together some funny things we did with them, because we didn't support only financially projects. What we did, for example, is that most of our team, like right now, is using a wizard as profile picture or a t-shirt as profile picture. Or we write, for example, a blog post explaining why we invest in this, with all the investment thesis behind that. We designed with that the lens of the game that they're going to develop. And we spent like hours on this. So another thing we do for most of the projects we invest in is we create a Dune Analytics dashboard for them, or for Math, that is a colleague of mine, the lead of dev in Dialectic. So he works closely with them, and he deploys so many smart contracts for them. Like, for example, the Beast Auction smart contract has been developed by Dota, that is the founder of Forgotten, with Math. And one of the things that I mentioned here was October 31. There was the great burning. So there was basically a day where there was an airdrop of Forgotten that, like, they airdrop the Sacred Flame, that is a kind of NFT. And it was cool, this thing, because if you were having a wizard and a Sacred Flame, you could potentially like burn that wizard, and you could like mint a random NFT. So, and the random NFT that you mint is definitely something that, you know, can be like a good outcome. You have 80% of good outcomes possibility, but you also were having like a 15% of bad outcome possibility. And so I wanted to share with you this video to give you an idea about how we are excited about the project we invested in, and how we are like excited about the project, the community. Okay, so we are running over time. Yeah. So this is our collections of Forgotten, and the last thing I want to tell you, like very quickly, because then there is Kaya, that is the founder of that, is Afar. So Afar basically is the third example I brought, is the Pixar of Web3 in our opinion. And the thing about Kaya is that when we met, like we immediately understood that it was the right one, because there is like a mix of skills between gaming and math and stats. And the team like already delivered a game that was like 200 million copies sold, 200 million users, so huge track record. And this is a gaming team that we brought, and he was like super inclined to do that through the crypto world. And what we did together is that we started from a graphic that is like 50 times all the other games in terms of quality, and we created together like a new crypto world, where you have like Social App, you have Lens, you have Lava, you have the Afar PvP, so a kind of like player space inside the game, and you have so many things in terms of token design that are fitting like one together to create a proper sustainable economy. Okay, so the only thing I want to remind you is that there is the Mempool NFT Berlin party tonight in KitKat Club. Let's meet there. And last thing, we are hiring, so our like company is pretty wide. So there are like developers possibility, venture partners possibility. If you want to go through jobs.dialectic.ch, and thank you very much for the attention.